Hi, Justice.
I already recorded this once, like a dumb butt, and realized as I was uploading the video that you went to the superstore earlier this week, and we're looking at. Whoops! I kind of flung some pumpkin cheesecake on the couch. I will clean that up in a second.
With your foot.
With my foot. I will clean it up off of my foot in a second. Anyway, so your question about pumpkins. One, none of those pumpkins are diseased. Most of the pumpkins that are in there that look like that are actually purposely done to do so because it adds the the creepy harvest feel of Halloween. And people like the gnarled and gruesome looking pumpkins. So none of those are actually like diseased, or there's nothing wrong with them. If you open them up, you gut them out. They're exactly the same as any other pumpkin. The big thing is that they are purposely made to look that way because of like they don't have to be carved or messed with. And it's easy to sell to people who don't have the time to carve pumpkins, but still want to have something nice looking out in front of their front yard that isn't just a plain pumpkin. So that's the first thing. Second, the smaller pumpkins, generally speaking, there will be a sign that will say pie pumpkins near them, and those smaller pumpkins are meant to be cut into, gutted, and used for pumpkin pie. So they are edible. There are edible pumpkins. It's just generally they are much, much, much smaller than what you expect to actually have for pumpkins. The larger pumpkins are generally used for carving and can be cooked as well, technically speaking, but they're a lot harder to cook because they're huge. Like, you can't fit a pumpkin that size in your oven. So they're smaller. And that's the big difference between the two. So that gives you some information about pumpkins that you probably didn't know. Actually definitely didn't know, because you're just like, oh yeah, well, I have no idea, I'll ask Taylor. And there's your answer. Obviously pumpkins are considered a gourd, just like any other, so like, you know, squash, gourds, spaghetti squash, all that stuff is all in the same family as pumpkins. And most of them are relatively, well, all of them are edible. It just depends on what you want to use them for. Some people like using spaghetti squash, obviously, to make spaghetti-based meals. And instead of, like, actually making spaghetti out of it, you use the squash for it. If you don't like al dente noodles, you generally won't like spaghetti squash. Though, to be fair, I think that you wouldn't mind my spaghetti squash spaghetti. But I'll, you know, if I ever make it and you don't like it, it's not like I'm going to force you to eat it. But when you move up here, you'll have plenty of chances to, like, try that stuff and see how you like it when somebody else is cooking it. But like I said, there's spaghetti squash, there's butternut squash. Butternut squash is generally like, it's kind of like it's similar to that of a sweet potato. It's kind of more of a dessert vegetable, quote unquote, where it's a little bit sweeter in taste. And other gourds, generally we don't use other gourds for eating because they're all meant to be used as decorative items, especially around this time of year. A lot of people are really excited about the harvest. A lot of people are prepping for Halloween, and the creepy gore-esque gourds are kind of always something that everybody's kind of drawn to around this time of year, which is why we always bring them out, or we would bring them out in produce back at Meijer and make them look the way that they did. And it, like, we would set up different displays and try and make it look good and have it to where people could buy them, so that way they would sit out in front of their yards or as a placement like for your table or whatever you would like to use for them. Otherwise, yeah, that's all your information about pumpkins you're gonna get from me, because I don't think I really need to explain anything else. It's weird knowing that you go to me for this kind of stuff. But yeah, speaking of pumpkins, pumpkin cheesecake.
Which is delicious.
I'm glad that you like it. Because, like I said, I accidentally forgot to add the condensed milk in it.
Tastes just fine to me.
I felt really bad about that. It does taste fine. I just kind of had a moment of, oh crap, I forgot to do that. So I'll see you on Monday, Justice.